Hi, welcome to the Lawyer Diaries podcast. Today we're talking about interviews, and Becca and I have put together our top 5 interview tips. They're in no particular order, and there's a lot more than this, but these are our top 5.
Our first tip is to have your elevator pitch down pat. This means that you're actually practicing your tell me about yourself answer before you sit down for the interview. And I mean practicing out loud, whether you're recording yourself or doing it in front of a friend or a roommate. The first time that you speak these words should not be in the actual interview. So, what should tell me about yourself really answer? It should be a well crafted narrative about your career journey that also answers why you're there today interviewing. So you need a through line that demonstrates to the interviewer that you've thoughtfully navigated your career. And in being thoughtful, you're now looking for X opportunity that aligns with firm that you're interviewing with. And you don't have to say that explicitly, but it should be something that can be gathered from your story. So when you're referencing your experiences, be sure to frame everything in a positive light and say, I got X experience from my last firm, but I'm looking for more Y, or I really enjoyed the work that I did, but I felt that I wanted to grow more in XYZ, and that firm didn't have that much work in that particular area, but never negative. So it's always in terms of what you're looking for in terms of learning and experience.
Absolutely. I think that one thing that Becca hit that I cannot stress enough is do not say anything negative and do not bash your previous firms or your current firm, even if you're interviewing to work at a new firm. Employers think that that's a red flag, and your elevator pitch, along with all of your responses, should really be focused on what the firm that you're interviewing at has to offer rather than saying negative things about your past experiences. Uh, another
Exactly.
another thing that's really important is rehearsing this answer along with all of your other responses. You don't want your interview to be the first time you're saying this out loud because something could sound really good in your head and it just doesn't sound the same once you're actually speaking it. If you have a roommate or family that you trust or a partner, those are great people to practice responses with. And if you don't have anyone you feel comfortable practicing a response with, then just record yourself and play it back. That's always a very helpful thing to do. Number 2, advocate for yourself. We know that you've highlighted all of your accomplishments in your resume, but the truth is, your interviewer may not have done an in depth review of your resume prior to interviewing you, especially if they're really busy or they were pulled in last minute to be your interviewer. So, you want to make sure that during your interview, you're highlighting and hitting on all of those items that you've already listed in your resume that you're proud of and are relevant to the role. If you don't advocate for yourself during this time, no one else will. So this is the time to not be overly humble, but at the same time, you don't want to sound arrogant. So there's a fine balance, and that's what you need to be doing.
Our third tip is also going to be telling you to practice, which is you should be prepared for tough questions. The gaps in your resume, the things that you don't like or you don't want to talk about, that is what is going to come up. That is what you're going to be asked about. So, again, this is another area where you should really prioritize practicing your answers and speaking them out loud prior to the interview. And some of these difficult questions, like why are you leaving your firm or why do you have so many moves on your resume, are questions that can also be well answered by having a strong elevator pitch and a strong tell me about yourself story. Because if you have that through line, um, tying together all of your experiences, it will be obvious, it will be apparent, it will be easy for you to answer that question. And Even if you're practiced, you never know what the interviewer might say. They might not respond well to your answer. Just keep your cool. I think that's an overarching piece of advice that we have. Keep your cool, keep it moving, be gracious, and don't get flustered when these questions come up because they inevitably will.
Exactly. And we can't stress enough how important it is to stay calm and collected during interviews, even if someone doesn't respond the way that you expect to an answer that you've rehearsed and you know is strong. So keep your cool no matter what. Because a lot of the times people are trying to see how you respond to difficult situations. So if you stay calm and collected, that's going to reflect well on you. Number 4, demonstrate profitability. At the end of the day, law firms, like all companies, are there to make money. So you want to make sure that your responses show that you're going to be a good investment and that at the end of the day, you're going to be profitable. What you want to do is make sure that your responses show that you are going to work efficiently, that you have interest in business development. Even if you're a more junior associate, having interest in business development and being cognizant of being an efficient biller, those are things that firms like to hear. You also want to show that you're a self starter and that you're motivated to run your own deals. Because at the end of the day, every associate should be able to run their own deals and their own cases when they get to a certain level. So even if you're not at the point where you're running cases and deals right now, you want to show that that's something that you hope to be able to do in the future. What you want to avoid are things that don't lead to profit. So even if you're interested in a firm because they have really impressive pro bono policies, you want to avoid mentioning that you're interested primarily because of pro bono, only because it's not actually going to lead to profitability because it's pro bono work. If your interviewer mentions pro bono first, at that point you can express interest.
Last but not least, you should be building rapport with your interviewer. And the question section of an interview is a great time to do this. While interviews might be looking to test your technical skills, a lot of it is also just a vibes check. The interviewer wants to know that you will present well in front of a client and that you will seamlessly integrate into the team. So, how to use questions to get there? Well, I don't know if you've read How to Win Friends and Influence People, but people love to talk about themselves. So, ask the interviewer about themselves. Why did you leave your last firm to go to this firm? Tell me a bit about your practice. What kind of cases do you specialize in, and how did that come to be? This will leave a great impression on your interviewer because it shows that you researched their background and also you're interested in their career and their specific practice area. Again, make sure to hit any obvious points like shared alma maters or if you both worked at the same firm previously, and make sure to prepare cheat sheets. We do this for all of our clients that we work with, but even if you don't work with us, you should be creating cheat sheets for yourself with your interviewer's career and educational background, as well as some highlights about the firm financially, where are their headquarters, what are their largest practice groups, etc.
Right. And cheat sheets and doing research ahead of time, so important when it comes to building rapport. Because let's say you're really interested in tennis and you didn't do research on your interviewer, and it turns out that they love to play tennis too. But that doesn't come up naturally during an interview. If that's something you know ahead of time, then you can slide that into one of your answers and then build rapport with them.
Yeah, very easy brownie points. That's all we have for you today. But if you have any questions, feel free to comment on this episode or shoot us an email or DM on LinkedIn. We'd be happy to chat. Till next time.